I'm joined once again by Kyle from the Status Quo tribute band My Status is Quo. Thank you once again, Kyle, for joining us without your bandmates this time.
Yeah, I'm all
Yeah, you were gonna have you were preparing for a gig. How did that gig go?
it went very well. A few mistakes, but it's live, so that's to be expected. With the audience, they were quite happy. They were shaking hands with us after the gig and stuff, so that was quite promising. Um, Good feedback. But me being a perfectionist, it's like the slightest wee mistake, I'm like, oh no. It's for me, it's frustrating because uh, even with myself, not just everyone, I made mistakes, and it's just that thing. It's like, oh, it's once it's done, you can't undo it, and I'm like, oh no. But and then I'm going through the videos that were took, try to get the best bits, and then post them on the social accounts. So they were good bits, so I did post them. So they were, yeah, people liked them.
And of course, before My Status is Quo, that you'd had other live experiences,
Mhm.
including with the Quo story, formerly Heavy Traffic.
Yeah, that was Jay. He contacted me on Messenger. He just said, "How well do you know your parpet parts?" I was like, "Yeah, decent." I'm like, "Why is he asking me this?" I kind of roughly knew, like, okay, something's going to happen here. And then he was like, "Jack, he's booked a holiday, can't make it. Could you fill in?" I said, "Right, okay." He said, "Send me some videos." So I did that, and he was happy. And then had one rehearsal with them, and then it was only one, and that was it. And then there was I was making a lot of mistakes, so I had to like wherever I made mistakes, learn them, and then that was it. And then it was the gig. So went through the set, and Jack was there to like give me a hand with anything that I was struggling with. Um, but it was just playing the songs that I liked since I was a wee boy, and then actually playing them with other people that that were into the band as much as me. It was quite an experience, and it was kind of like, oh, finally I've found people that like Status Quo that I've struggled with over the years with high school people, getting slagged and all that, and it's kind of like that kind of moment. It's like kind of rubbing it in their face, like going, "Ha," you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Uh,
do.
you said I wouldn't do that, but look what I'm doing. So then got to the gig. um, Jay said, "Right, meet at 3." So where I'm from, I'm quite outside of Glasgow, and Paisley was quite a further, more couple of miles. So I thought, right, okay. So my dad took me. Um, so this was 2023, and Jay said meet at the Academy, Fitzpatrick Academy of Music. So I got there, and then all the shutters were down. I'm like, I thought there's nobody here. And so my dad's like, why don't we just go to the venue? Right, okay. Got there, and then the venue didn't open until, I don't know, maybe an hour later or something. And I'm thinking, where is everyone? So I'm messaging Jay, and he was still in his bed. And I'm like, you told me to meet at 3, and then he's like, oh no, the place doesn't even start until doesn't open until like 5, and then the first act's on at 6 or whatever. I'm like, I'm here, miles away from home, and stuck in the middle with Paisley because my dad left. He thought, right, that must be open, so he left, drove away, and I was left stranded in the middle of Paisley, and I'm like, right, okay, and then got in, And I said to the guy, I'm playing with Heavy Traffic, and I said I'm drum guitarist, and he's going, "What? Another one? Another guitarist?" I said, "Oh no, I'm just standing in for this." Got in, and then I was watching the other acts that were on first, and so I was, showed that I was keen. But I quite enjoyed that watching because it was the first act that was on. They'd done a mixture of songs. I think they had something Flower in the title or something. I can't remember the name, but they were quite good because they'd done a lot of varied songs from different artists. So they weren't just one tribute band. They were doing like basically a cover band. So that was a good opener, and then can't remember who else. I think I must have let. I think I remember seeing Reese coming and went and spoke to him. Then I left with him, and I missed a couple of other bands. But I remember before we went on, it was I think they're called Heat Seeker, who was an AC/DC tribute band. So they were on, and they were good. And then it was their turn. And then I remember I told you in the previous video that I was playing Don't Waste My Time, and I went to go over to Gary and Reese, and then my lead came out my pedals, and everything went dead. And the same thing happened at the other gig there with My Status is Quo because oh, it was weird because in sound check everything was sounding fine. It wasn't until I was actually playing and I thought I can't really hear my guitar. I said, oh, no, I know. So I'm trying to go over my amp and stuff, and I think I'd turned it up way up full volume, and it just because I've got this habit. It's quite a bad habit. It's like I've got a habit of turning up gradually through the whatever I'm playing. I think I'm quite deaf over the years with coming home and then blasting the stereo system. It's kind of had a toll on my ears, and it just seems to be every rehearsal it keeps getting louder and louder, and it was doing the same at the gig, and I just remember just turning up my amp full volume, and it did work. I did hear it at that point, and then there was a point during in my chair, and then my guitars went dead. I was like, I thought, I don't know what's happened here, and then it was my lead came out the pedal, so I plugged it back in, and the full thing went back into the solo. And so it was just things like that. I was like, oh no, teething mistakes, but got through it.
Indeed. I mean, I'm sure there are many tribute bands out there, Quo and otherwise, that can relate to the little mistakes that happen during gigs. Now, as has been documented previously, Status Quo have had, a career spanning decades with different eras. Do you have sort of a preference, or do you just listen to absolutely everything?
Yeah, I listen to anything. Just I don't even go through phases. Just pick a song and I'll just from each album. I like a few songs from each album, from the first one through Backbone and all that, and even First to Work. People slag that. I don't care, but yeah, I like Go Nowhere. Sherry Don't Feel Me Now is another favourite of mine.
Basically, you're going to like it whether they like it or not,
Aye,
if you'll pardon the pun.
yeah, exactly. It's I've just a appreciation of all the songs that they do, and there's ones also I don't listen to as much as I don't listen to like Queenie, for example. I wouldn't listen to that. Don't mind it, but don't have a problem with it. It's just not my like go to. From that album. It's either Didn't Mean It, things like that, Restless. It's just random songs. I just listen to it, and good for. I do a lot of walking, and I just put on a couple of Quo tracks and gets the pace going a bit.
Yes. Yeah, it's great to do that, sort of make up your own little playlist
Mhm.
and go from there.
Yeah.
There is a feature I used to do on the Quo-Cast, which I'm going to bring back right now, called Milestones, where I ask you about particular albums and or singles that are celebrating a milestone this year. Mark Kelly's Greasy Spoon
Mm.
is 55 years old this year. That is an album which saw them, fully embrace kind of the rock and the boogie and trying different things. What do you make of it? What is your perspective on it?
I think that was um, definitely kind of breaking point from the psychedelic stuff to that boogie and a lot of blues. I do remember, it was Bob Young that said that it actually reminds him of Kings of Leon. I remember hearing that.
Yeah,
Um,
especially that first album
yeah,
of Kings of Leon. Yeah.
aye. It's just an album you wouldn't associate with Quo either, because people just think just the hits, But then you listen to like Shy Fly and all that, and you can hear it's quite. I remember I sent it to the group chat in my Status Quo. Think we should cover this, and Tom said he said it's like giving summer vibes or something. I don't know what he means by that, but he said it was like summer vibes, and I thought, but definitely a breaking point, I think, for them, and they took that and then they forwarded it on to like Dog of Two Head and all that, and then Hello, quite a varied album. I think got a lot of different stuff on it, interesting stuff.
In 1985, Status Quo opened arguably the biggest concert ever,
Mm,
Live Aid. You and I are not of an age to have seen it when it went out live,
no,
but it has, it's garnered millions of views on YouTube and things. Pretty much everybody, I think, has seen that performance.
mm,
What do you make of it? Because I feel like when I spoke to yourself and your band, you kind of looked at that as something of an inspiration.
yeah, Mark, that's his. That's when he kind of got. That's how he knew of Status Quo because he had the Live Aid CD. I'm probably biased, but they're also my favourite act on that day. Like I like Queen, but I still think it was Status Quo that I'm just biased. Even when I went to see Bohemian Rhapsody, there was a scene in Bohemian Rhapsody at the Live Aid bit where there was TVs and you could see Rick and Francis on, and they're doing the transmission. Um, and I pointed out, I shouted out to my pals, it's Rick and Francis. So even I was watching a Queen film, I was still, looking out for Rick and Francis. It was weird because I remember seeing on YouTube they were actually doing like a sound check, and I'm sure they've done whatever you want for a sound check.
Yeah.
With that in the actual set thing, which I don't, you'd think maybe people would know that better than Don't Waste My Time.
It is a bizarre one, isn't it? Because there are MTV clips from America
Mm,
that have like a news thing of like Live Aid opened by Status Quo. The clip they used was Don't Waste My Time.
mm, mm.
It's the band firing on all cylinders, obviously. And I do wonder whether maybe Whatever You Want didn't work in rehearsal for some reason. And so they went for that one because they hadn't played together for
Yeah,
quite a while.
I suppose I don't waste my time. Even when I'm rehearsing with my Status is Quo, whatever you want is quite a vocal as well because Tom he's straining the puppet parts.
Yeah.
Eh, but don't waste my time. It's quite a. I know how Status Quo do a sound check for that as well, and because it's quite a good song to like get solid with. Quite the straightforward 12 bar thing, and it's got the good solos in it for you know to sound check the solo effects, whatever.
How long did it take you to master that "Don't Waste My Time" solo? Because there's a lot of kind of melody in it.
Aye. I've got the basic melody for it. I've got that bit, and then I've kind of adopted some bits that Francis does live as well, and I put some of my own bits in it as well. Just as long as it's in the same key, it goes well. So I do have the basic melody down for it, and then there's just wee bits that Francis does, and then bits that I would do. Aye, so it's not like it changes every time I do it, so it's kind of more like a spontaneous
Hmm.
feel to it. How they do it anyway. It's basically spontaneous. How he does solos, it's never the same. There's always wee bits.
Um, the Party Ain't Over Yet in 2005, is that one you revisit
Yeah,
particularly? Yeah.
yeah. What a good. I like a few songs in that one. Gotta Get Up and Go. Never Shoulda.
Hmm.
That one. Again, that was when I was younger. That was when I used to watch the documentary quite a lot. That one.
The Party Ain't
Used
Over
to
Yet.
watch it either on. Used to watch it if it was like Francis's birthday or something, or some type of thing. I would put it on as like a celebration.
Hmm.
Stick it on, and I like the outtakes for that.
Yeah,
And
I always remember the one where Bob's trying to talk and then he gets put off and he said, "I'm so sorry, but this bleep behind me," and Francis walks behind him with a sandwich.
yes,
Yeah.
I yeah, and it's when his wife keeps phoning him as well.
Hmm.
That's quite. But it just shows you as well that it gives off their personality and just down to earth and all that, and um, it's quite a gives you a laugh.
I mean, John Keeling's documentary, they found the balance, do you think, between the sort of historical stuff that had already been tread and what was then, current in showing the recording of an album and just their kind of day to day in the studio?
Yeah, I definitely. It was it's a good. It's quite a well put together documentary. Um, gives you the insights and how it began and all that, and then it just gives you the behind the scenes, if you like, behind an album, how they go through the process and all that. Which is another reason how what inspired me to be a musician or whatever, my own solo stuff, or try and because I just like even it from at the college and then we're doing the recording. I enjoy it because through that documentary because I know how the process works and you can have a laugh with it and all that and that was another reason that got me into music in general. Mhm.
Well, there was a definite energy
Yeah,
coming from there. I mean, the "Gotta Get Up and Go" recording, where you see them playing, the energy just leaps out of the screen.
mm. Especially the soul part and then
Yes.
talking about
Hmm.
Francis's souls and all that and which another reason how I wanted to be Francis in a tribute band because it was just what Matt Lately says. It's like he's at one with the instrument and all that. It's just flowing out and that kind of thing. I just thought it's quite inspirational.
So to put a focus onto Francis Rossi for a moment, and because that is your main role in My Status in is Quo, what do you make of his solo material, stuff he's done outside of Quo, and the current tour that he's on as well?
I'm a big fan of his solo stuff. Um, from King of the Doghouse. I liked his version of the Show Me Home.
Hmm.
It's quite a all the different effects on it.
It went a little bit Enya, didn't it? It was sort of that sort of atmospheric.
Yep. Uh-huh. Um, yeah, it was quite a. It's up there with the actual original. In my opinion, that's I like how he done what he did with that, and Give Myself to Love. I'm a big fan of that. Through to One Step at a Time. I like a few tracks from that, and then through to Talk Too Much. That's a country album. That's a pure country feel to it, and I've got the way we were. I got that,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. I'm actually I like the solo bit for You'll Come Around.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's funny. I wonder how it must have just been not commercial enough or whatever. And it's funny. I wonder who suggested, right, we need a different solo for that.
Is that the people have talked about that? Is that the da 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 da? Is that one?
Aye.
That kind of feels like a filler to me, as
Mm,
though there's supposed to be a solo here,
mm,
and we're going to do one.
uh,
It feels like a placeholder.
aye. Even that, I liked that.
Yeah.
um, I suppose, and then I was like, I wonder how they make the decision. You know how we're going to do things. It's funny how demos go to different things.
You saw him on his current tour, right? How is it? Because I think there's a lot of confusion right now, because I still talk to people who say they call it his talking tour, and it's not really his talking tour anymore, is it?
No, there is less talk and there's more tunes. Um, he does that thing at the start. He comes up on stage and does a speech and walks up and down the stage at the start, and then he goes through the tunes that got him into music and all that, and then it goes into Matchstick Men. There is less. He only told like two or three stories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there is a difference between the original talk tour and this one. You can,
Is he still doing Papa Piccolino?
yep, aye.
Yeah.
Um, he actually, when he was singing it, um, he was putting it on. He was making as if his voice was like weak. It
Yeah.
was like it was just like as if he would do it at home, really.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of feel. And it wasn't until he started doing Matchstick Men, then he full on projected his voice, which is obviously fair enough because gave off that. I was going to say something, but I forgot. I was going to explain it better there, but I forgot what I was going to say. But he did when he started doing the actual tracks. It was more projection. But he done Papa Piccolino and I think it was Nail of the Elephant.
Mm-hmm.
He done that, and there was another one. I can't remember the name of it, but everyone started singing it. I didn't actually know it was an old song. Well, also it was going to be old, but um, it was me, Tom, and Jessica, my girlfriend, were the youngest there. So everyone knew this song, but I don't think none of us did. But was talking about the story about how he fell down the stairs, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's got this voice spray thing for his
Mm-hmm.
throat, and he gags at it. I don't know what it is, but it must be horrible. Something to do with the vocal cords or something to make them, I don't know, less dry, I imagine.
Indeed. What is the atmosphere like at this? Because we know what a Quo gig is like.
Hmm.
It can be loud. There's a lot of jumping, but this is mostly seated, isn't it?
Well, there was people on. There was this guy in the top balcony. He must be very drunk, and every so often there was a quiet bit or something. He would shout. He would shout like, "Ah, Rossi!" Wah, wah, wah," a quiet bit, and then Francis thought it was God talking to him. That. um, he was like he said when I was at Catholic school one day we were going to get spoken to God. Didn't think it was going to be in Edinburgh, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, he was very energetic. And during Don't Waste My Time, there was during the where it would have been Rick's part, people were on the jumping up and down, clapping out, and then shouting the Quo chant, just how they would do it at a Quo gig. People were trying to get in that frame of mind. You know, there was this guy that kept standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down. He didn't know what to do. It was like, doing whatever you want. No, it wasn't. No, he never done whatever you want. I think it was Don't Waste My Time. And he was up and down, up and down. And he was always wanting to stand, but because everyone else was like seated, he was like, but then there was two guys in the front. They were giving it laldy, as they say up here in Scotland, laldy. I would say it was great. I enjoyed it.
How is Andy Brooke? How does he fit into everything? Because he kind of fills in all the gaps, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's very talented. The fact he does the setup as well, he sets up the chairs and all that, and it's quite a good shift for him. You know, vocally, he's good at high harmonies. I must say, for just sitting down doing acoustic, he's got good control over. He's not like shouting, but he's still got good control over his pitching and all that, and it's good level wise with Francis when he's singing, and guitar harmonies as well. I like how they do for rock and roll with the. I like how they do that, and I'm trying to learn that. There's nobody else. I'm trying to see if anyone's covered that, but I can't find anything. So I'm trying to do it by ear. I've got the first, but I've got the. I just need to look. I need to listen to it more, and because that's what I'm going to try and do. For if me and Jessica do it, I'm going to try and do it that way. So we've still got that wee riff in it. Because I know when they done the acoustic strip bare, it was Francis just rubbing the E chord. That riff wasn't in it for something. I mean, I would quite like if that was in it, but also Francis does it now, which is with the two guitars doing it. It's quite something.
We'll wrap up here, but what is next for My Status Quo?
Oh God. Well, we're struggling to get rehearsals booked. The rest of them, well, we've all got like other engagements and stuff. Prior engagements. That's the right. It's try to get a day where we're all free, a day that suits. There's no any other gigs lined. It's a bit of a brick wall now. I must admit. It's a shame because also we've got all good feedback and stuff. People wanting to see us. It's just trying to get the rehearsal time and get people together and all that. It's frustrating, but hopefully we're looking maybe the end of July, August time for something. And also that's when university starts back, and then because Drew he actually stays down at the Borders, so it's quite hard for him to get up to Glasgow and rehearse. It's handy in college because he was in a student accommodation. So he's now working during the week. I'm working weekends, so we need to try and get like maybe after 4 somewhere to rehearse, and then give Drew time to get a train back down south. So it's quite challenging, but we just need to try and keep at it.
Well, I'm sure, as you say, you'll keep at it, and I do wish you all the best for the future on that. Please do come back and talk to us about all the other things that you're doing at various points. Thank you, Kyle, for being on this episode of the Quo-Cast.
I'm going to show you my first ever Status Quo t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like 5 or something, and it was, and it's got Next Generation on it, and so that must be true.
And that's just doing it. So yeah, that is true, isn't it? Next Generation. Which gig was that?
That was from just doing it. So it must have
Mm-hmm.
been 2006 or 7 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so I must have been five or six. Aye, and it was obviously my parents that got me it.
Mm-hmm. And did you go to that one, or was it after the fact?
No, my first one was actually, I hate to admit it, was actually, I didn't get to see Rick Parfitt. It was actually the same year he died. So it was the year that Aero Speedwagon supported them in Glasgow in 2016. And then obviously heard that Rick died, and it was weird enough. I was listening to Rover Lay Down, and then my dad came through and said, "Oh, Rick Parfitt's dead." I'm like, "Oh, right, okay." That's not really a good way to spend Christmas Eve, but um, aye,
Indeed. Would that have been with Richie Malone?
yep, Richie, yep.
Yeah.
Because I know Rhino's boy, he done it for a wee while.
Yes.
But then Richie, I saw Richie and then the following year, and then I think obviously COVID hit
Mm-hmm.
you, and I saw the 2 nights at the bandstand in Glasgow. I went to the 2 nights for that. Had to be done, I thought this was going to be the last time for it. Might as well go 2 nights,
Yeah.
you know. So this is the worst thing, being born in the wrong generation. I missed out on all these gigs. It's annoying, but aye.
Indeed. But you have the memories of those gigs. Like a lot of people can say the same if they saw them in the 90s and oh, I missed the 70s, or they saw them in 2000, oh, I missed them in the 80s. So yeah, I'm sure it's something that's very relatable
Yeah,
across the generations.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Would that have been on the last tour, right? Last year?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But how was it?
Quite definitely emotional from the fans. Emotional, not as in like sobbing or crying or anything, but like more um maybe nostalgic, maybe I would say. I was down the front. My dad was actually quite. This is the first time he was quite down the front as well, and he was like, "This is quite near the front." We were always like either a few rows back or something, and just being that close, and then being in the middle of the atmosphere and all that, and it was a special moment that any co-fan will remember. The final gigs and stuff. Just that being just that final feeling. It's like, oh, here we go. This is the end. You know.
Do you think they sort of found their feet again after COVID?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think they even really lost it. They
Mm-hmm.
were very tight. Um, and Francis's voice was still on form.
Mm-hmm.
Um, puts a lot of effort into his fitness. Keeps himself fit.
It's all very inspiring, isn't it? Because I've seen him talk about like having the like smoothies and stuff in the morning and going swimming like 2 lengths of the swimming pool or whatever and all that. That's kind of behind the curtain. People don't always associate. Well, you have to get quite fit to be
Uh, yep,
able to do it at a high level.
yep. Um, definitely. He's quite a strict routine. It's quite funny on the actual program of his tunes and chat. It tells you his routine and he does it at, and then there's I need to actually make it so that he's got the recipe for the pasta that
Right.
he eats, and the recipe's on that. So I need to make that because I like a bit of cooking, and so I see what that's like because I like Italian food as well, and I like most food, and it looks quite nice.
Yes, he does like his spaghetti.
Yeah,
Yeah, I might have to get a copy of that recipe
yeah,
and try it myself. Hopefully, it adapts to dairy-free and gluten-free cuisine. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Kyle. Please do come back. My Status is Quo can be found on Facebook for all further gig requests, I guess, and listings. And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
yep, on Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah, we're trying because obviously we're trying with the marketing target audience. That's the kind of platforms that they would use. So that's we wouldn't go on. Suppose we go on TikTok, but not really the right target audience for for co-fans.
No, I have one video on TikTok and it has no views on it.
Oh,
Although I haven't told anybody, so maybe that's the.
see, it's annoying because for me, I'm trying to post my own stuff as well and all that, and I'm hardly getting anything. And it's kind of like you're getting views, but then nobody's liking it. It's like, you thought, what's wrong with it? It's like my videos.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.